Hey there, fellow mind explorers. Huh? Ever feel like there's this hidden power within you?
Oh, yeah.
Something just below the surface.
Mm-hmm.
We're diving deep into a book all about that power.
Okay.
The power of the subconscious mind.
Sounds interesting.
This book isn't just some mystical mumbo-jumbo.
No.
It approaches the subconscious almost like a science, comparing it to principles of chemistry.
Oh, wow.
Or physics.
I like that.
Yeah.
What's the book say?
Well, what I find fascinating
Yeah.
is the way it aims to empower you.
Okay.
Not by just telling you the subconscious is powerful, but by explaining how it works.
I see.
Think healing,
Okay.
overcoming fear,
Mm-hmm.
even achieving success and finding happiness,
Wow.
all through understanding this hidden part of yourself.
That's amazing.
Okay, so let's unpack this right off the bat.
Okay.
The book throws out this idea of a dual nature of the mind.
Dual nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not just one big blob of thinking stuff,
Right.
but two distinct spheres.
Got it.
The conscious and the subconscious.
Okay, like a team.
It's like a team working together,
Uh-huh.
but with very different roles.
Okay.
The conscious mind is the star player we all know and love,
Mm-hmm.
the one making decisions,
Mm-hmm.
reasoning things out,
Okay.
choosing our next book to read or,
Yeah. For dinner.
what to have for dinner tonight.
Exactly.
But then there's the subconscious,
Yeah.
working behind the scenes.
Okay.
It's more like that super reliable stage crew, making
Right.
sure all the vital functions are running smoothly,
Yeah.
heartbeat, breathing, all that stuff we don't even have to think about.
Right.
Exactly.
And this duality.
And this duality gets even cooler when the book links it to objective and subjective experiences.
Oh, interesting.
The objective mind,
Okay.
that conscious part of us,
Uh-huh.
is all about the external world,
Okay.
soaking up information through our senses.
Like what?
It's how we learn from observation,
Mm-hmm.
from going to school,
Yeah.
from basically living life out in the open.
Right.
So if I'm walking through a new city,
Okay.
my objective mind is taking in the sights, the sounds,
Smells.
the smells,
Yeah.
building a picture of that place.
Exactly.
Precisely.
Okay.
But then we have the subjective mind,
Okay.
or subconscious player.
Okay.
This one is way more intuitive,
Okay.
operating beyond those five senses.
So like a sixth sense almost?
Yeah, like a sixth sense.
Interesting.
It's the realm of emotion,
oh, yeah.
of memory.
Mm-hmm.
And get this,
What?
it thrives when the objective mind chills out.
Oh, so like when we're relaxing.
Yeah, like when we're asleep and dreaming, that's prime time for the subjective mind.
That makes sense.
Which makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Dreams can be so vivid and insightful.
Totally.
Almost like our subconscious is trying to tell us something.
Like it's talking to us.
Yeah, and this leads us to one of the book's central themes.
Oh, okay. What's that?
The power of belief and suggestion.
The power of belief and suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's fascinating here
Yeah.
is how people react so differently to the same suggestion.
Oh, interesting.
The book uses this example of a sailor
Okay.
who was absolutely convinced he couldn't get seasick.
He couldn't get seasick.
Nope.
Wow.
Someone even tried to plant the idea in his head,
Really?
but it had zero effect.
Wow. So he really believed it.
His subconscious was basically like, nope, not happening.
That's wild.
Because his belief in his immunity was so strong.
So it's like the mind over matter thing.
Totally.
Interesting.
And then they contrast that
Yeah.
with another passenger on the same ship
Okay.
who was terrified of getting seasick.
Oh, no.
Guess what?
What?
They ended up succumbing to it,
Oh, wow.
all because of the suggestion.
Really just from the suggestion.
It really highlights the concept of autosuggestion,
Auto-suggestion.
which is essentially the power we have to influence our own subconscious mind through our thoughts and beliefs.
Mm.
And if we're constantly feeding it negativity,
Yeah.
fear,
Doubt.
failure,
Yeah.
well, guess what?
What?
It's going to start manifesting those things in our reality.
So we got to think positive.
So it's like we're literally programming our subconscious with every thought,
Interesting.
every word we say.
Oh.
The book even shares this rather dramatic story about a man
Okay.
who kept saying,
Uh-huh.
I would give my right arm to see my daughter cured.
Oh, no.
Sadly, his daughter was ill,
Oh, gosh.
and in a twist of fate,
Yeah.
he ended up losing his arm in an accident.
That's crazy.
Oh.
That really shows you how powerful our words are.
That's a chilling example of how powerful our words can be.
Yeah.
Especially when they're charged with strong emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we make sure we're feeding our subconscious the right stuff?
Right. We need to feed it the good stuff.
That's where this whole idea of positive healing suggestions comes in.
Healing suggestions.
The book argues that if we can consciously choose what we feed our subconscious,
Okay.
we can create a ripple effect that impacts our health, our wealth,
our happiness.
even our happiness.
That's great.
So are we talking about affirmations here?
Affirmations.
Like standing in front of the mirror and repeating positive phrases?
Could be.
Affirmations are definitely part of it.
Yeah.
But it goes deeper than just words.
Deeper than words.
The book emphasizes the importance of genuine belief,
Right.
of really feeling those positive statements in your core.
It's got to be real.
Yeah, you really got to believe it.
Yeah.
It gives this example of a Protestant minister
Okay.
who used this technique to heal himself from lung cancer.
Wow, from lung cancer.
Yeah, he'd repeatedly affirm God's perfection
Okay.
and visualize a perfect image of himself held in God's mind.
So he was using his imagination.
So it's like he was using his imagination, almost like a form of mental rehearsal, to reprogram his subconscious.
Reprogram. That's fascinating.
It's a fascinating approach, isn't it?
Totally.
And it's not just a one-off story either.
No.
The book has another example of a man who was suffering from paralysis.
Paralysis.
He regained his mobility by vividly imagining himself doing everyday things.
Like what kind of thing?
Walking around his office.
Okay.
Answering the phone. Living a normal life.
Wow.
Eventually, his subconscious caught up and manifested that reality.
That's amazing.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But I have to ask.
What's that?
Is it really that simple?
I don't know. Is it?
Just think positive thoughts and poof, your problems are gone.
Maybe not quite that simple.
Well, no, not exactly.
No.
The book does stress that genuine belief is key.
Yeah, it's got to be real.
There's a story about a successful executive in Los Angeles who attributes his high income to his unshakable belief in his own value.
He believed in himself.
He didn't just say affirmations half-heartedly.
Right.
He truly believed in his worthiness of success.
So he had that confidence, you know.
And paid off.
That makes sense. You can't just fake it till you make it with the subconscious.
I guess not.
There needs to be alignment between what you're consciously thinking and what you truly believe deep down.
I see.
But what about all those people who say affirmations and still struggle?
Yeah, what about that?
That's where things get really interesting.
Really?
The book dives into some common mental patterns that can actually sabotage our efforts.
Sabotage our efforts.
For example,
give me an example.
Talks about this idea of trying to make ends meet.
Trying to make ends meet.
And how that phrase itself can keep people stuck in a cycle of financial struggle.
Really? Just that phrase?
I'm curious, how does a simple phrase like that have so much power?
It's powerful stuff.
Well, the book points out that people who struggle financially often criticize those who are more prosperous.
Oh, really?
They might call them ruthless, greedy,
Or even crooks.
or even crooks.
Wow.
This stems from a place of envy.
And ironically, it reinforces a belief in lack.
A belief in lack.
Actually pushing wealth away rather than attracting.
Because you're pushing it away.
It's like they're subconsciously confirming their own belief that there's not enough to go around.
Oh, wow.
Precisely.
So what should they do?
So instead of focusing on what you lack,
Okay.
the book encourages you to cultivate a mindset of abundance.
A mindset of abundance.
Recognize that there is plenty for everyone and that you are inherently worthy of receiving wealth.
So believe in yourself.
That's a powerful shift in perspective.
Totally.
It's like we have to rewire our brains to believe in possibility
Possibility.
rather than limitation.
Not limitation.
But what about all those negative thoughts and beliefs that seem to pop up automatically?
Oh, yeah.
How do we deal with those?
How do we deal with those negative thoughts? Well, that's where the idea of forgiveness comes into play. It's not just about letting go of resentment towards others, but also about forgiving ourselves for past mistakes. The book argues that this is crucial for both our mental and physical health.
It's interesting because we often hear about the importance of forgiveness in a spiritual context. But this book seems to take a more psychological approach.
What's fascinating is how it reframes the whole concept of forgiveness. It's not about condoning someone else's actions, but rather it's about freeing yourself from the burden of anger and resentment. Holding on to those negative emotions is like carrying around a heavy weight. It weighs you down mentally and emotionally, and that can even manifest physically.
The book tells this story about a man who was constantly overworked and stressed out. He just couldn't seem to relax no matter what he tried. It turned out that a big part of his problem was his inability to forgive himself for some past mistakes.
Yeah, we're often our own worst critics, right?
It's true.
We can be so hard on ourselves. That story really brings to light the idea that we're often our own harshest critics. We hold on to guilt and shame long after others have moved on. The book argues that it's not God who punishes us, but rather we punish ourselves through these negative thought patterns and actions that contradict the laws of life.
So how do we break free from this self-inflicted punishment? Where does forgiveness even begin?
Well, it starts with understanding and accepting that our past actions were based on the level of awareness we had at that time. We were doing the best we could with the knowledge and understanding we had. It's about recognizing that we're all works in progress, constantly evolving and learning.
It's like giving yourself permission to be human, to make mistakes and learn from them.
Exactly.
But what about those deep-seated habits that seem impossible to break?
Mm.
The ones that feel like they're wired into our subconscious?
The book addresses this head-on, presenting habits as functions of the subconscious mind. We're essentially creatures of habit conditioned to react in certain ways based on our past experiences.
So if our habits are rooted in the subconscious, how do we even begin to change them? It feels like an uphill battle sometimes.
Well, the book offers a fascinating perspective on this. It highlights the story of a man who was struggling with alcoholism. He managed to overcome his addiction by consciously creating new positive habit paths in his mind, essentially replacing those old destructive patterns.
That sounds like a monumental task.
Yeah.
Is it just a matter of willpower?
It wasn't about white-knuckling it through willpower alone. He took a more strategic approach. First, he recognized the need for change and genuinely desired it. He understood that he couldn't just wish his addiction away. He had to actively want a different life.
So there had to be a real desire for change, not just a sense of obligation or pressure from others.
Right. It had to come from within.
That makes sense.
Then he educated himself about the power of the subconscious mind. He realized that this incredible force within him could actually work for him, not against him. And that's when he started using techniques like visualization and affirmations to reprogram his subconscious, essentially replacing the desire for alcohol with a desire for freedom and peace of mind.
So he was consciously and intentionally feeding his subconscious a new set of desires, ones that aligned with his goals.
Exactly. And the book emphasizes that repetition is key. Just like we form those negative habits through repeated thoughts and behaviors, we can break them and form new positive ones through consistent conscious effort. It's about creating new neural pathways, new patterns of thinking and acting.
It sounds like we have to become almost like a gardener for our own minds, tending to the thoughts and beliefs we want to cultivate, while weeding out the ones that are no longer serving us.
That's a great analogy. And this ties into the book's empowering message about overcoming fear and achieving success. Most fears, the book argues, are learned, and therefore they can be unlearned. It distinguishes between normal fear, which is that natural fight-or-flight response that keeps us safe, and abnormal fear, which is often rooted in past experiences and limiting beliefs.
They give an example of a brilliant medical student who was crippled by exam anxiety. Despite being incredibly intelligent, he was plagued by this fear of failure.
Right. But here's the amazing part. He managed to overcome this fear by consistently visualizing himself succeeding. He would picture himself confidently taking the exam, receiving congratulations, and feeling that sense of accomplishment. By aligning his conscious and subconscious minds towards his desired outcome, he essentially rewired his brain to embrace success rather than fear it.
It's a testament to the power of visualization, of using our imagination to create the reality we want. And the book is full of these inspiring stories of people who manifested their dreams through the power of the subconscious mind.
There's a particularly captivating one about a young pharmacist who had this vision of owning his dream pharmacy. He'd spend hours visualizing every detail, from the layout of the store to the feeling of success and abundance. And you know what? Within a few years, his vision became a reality.
Wow, that's so cool. It's like they say, energy flows where attention goes. If we focus our energy on what we want, on those positive outcomes, we're much more likely to attract them into our lives.
Right.
But it also sounds like we need to be very specific about what we want.
Absolutely. The book suggests that having a clear vision, a mental blueprint of your goals, is crucial. If you don't know where you're going, how can you expect to get there? And this idea of a mental blueprint applies to all areas of life, even something like aging.
Aging. Most people probably don't think of that as something you can control with your mind.
The book challenges the common perception of aging as a time of inevitable decline. Instead, it emphasizes the potential for continued growth and vitality even in our later years. It contrasts the limiting belief that age equates to uselessness with the empowering truth that wisdom and experience gained over the years are incredibly valuable assets.
It reminds me of those individuals who achieve remarkable things in their later years, like George Bernard Shaw, Alfred Tennyson, Isaac Newton, even John Wesley. All of them continued to make significant contributions well into their 80s and beyond.
It's inspiring, isn't it? The book encourages us to embrace the idea that age is just a number and that our true potential is limitless regardless of how many candles are on our birthday cake. But how do we break free from the societal conditioning that tells us aging is all downhill?
It seems like there's a lot of fear and negativity surrounding aging.
That's where the power of the subconscious comes in again. The book highlights the importance of challenging those limiting beliefs and replacing them with empowering ones. If you constantly focus on what you can no longer do, your subconscious mind will likely manifest those limitations. But if you shift your focus to the possibilities, to the wisdom and experience you've accumulated, you can tap into a wellspring of creativity and vitality.
It all comes back to choosing our thoughts and beliefs consciously and intentionally.
Exactly. We have the power to decide how we age, how we experience life, and what we achieve. The book's message is ultimately one of hope and empowerment. It reminds us that we are all capable of remarkable transformations no matter our age, our background, or our current circumstances.
So how do we unlock this power within ourselves? How do we tap into the potential of our subconscious minds?
It seems like we've been focusing on the conscious effort
Yeah.
we're put into directing our subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
But what about when we're not actively trying,
Right.
when we're asleep?
Yeah, does our subconscious just clock out for the night?
That's where things get really interesting.
Oh, really?
The book actually suggests our subconscious never truly rests.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we're snoozing away,
So it's always working.
it's constantly working in the background,
Yeah.
processing information,
Okay.
and get up this even revealing solutions to our problems.
Like when we're dreaming.
You know, it's funny. We often dismiss dreams as just some random neural activity.
Yeah.
But what if they're actually trying to tell us something?
It's like our subconscious trying to communicate with us.
This book seems to support that idea,
Mm-hmm.
suggesting dreams can hold profound insights
Uh-huh.
and guidance.
I like it.
It challenges that whole notion that sleep is simply about physical rest.
Oh, okay.
Think about it.
Yeah?
Our vital organs keep functioning.
Right.
Our bodies repair themselves.
Uh-huh.
Even our hair and nails keep growing while we sleep.
That's true.
Clearly, there's more going on than just shutting down for the night.
So while our conscious minds are off in dreamland, our subconscious is hard at work.
Working hard.
Maybe even working through things our conscious mind couldn't quite grasp.
It's like it's figuring things out for us.
Yeah,
The book even suggests that healing happens more rapidly while we sleep.
really.
It's like our subconscious can focus on restoration
Uh-huh.
without all that mental chatter and resistance.
Right.
Our conscious mind throws up when we're awake.
You know that saying, let's sleep on it,
Oh, yeah.
when faced with a tough decision.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's more to it than just giving our brains a break.
Could be.
Yeah.
There's this compelling story in the book
Oh, tell me about it.
about a woman who was offered a new job
Okay.
but felt unsure about accepting it.
So she was on the fence.
She prayed for guidance before going to sleep
Okay.
and had a dream that very clearly cautioned her against taking the position.
Wow.
She trusted her intuition and declined the offer.
Good for her.
Turns out the company went bankrupt shortly after.
That's wild. So her subconscious knew.
It's like it was warning her. That's a pretty powerful example of how our subconscious can warn us about potential dangers or guide us towards the right path. It's like having an inner compass, but one that speaks in dreams.
I love that, an inner compass.
And it doesn't stop there.
Really?
The book even proposes that our subconscious can tap into a universal intelligence,
Okay.
a source of knowledge that goes beyond our individual experiences.
So we're talking about something bigger than just our personal subconscious,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
more interconnected.
There's another story that really illustrates this idea.
Okay, what is it?
A man dreamt of newspaper headlines warning him not to travel to the Orient.
To the Orient.
He heeded the warning,
Okay.
and 3 years later, the bombing of Pearl Harbor happened,
I don't know.
confirming what his dream had foreshadowed.
So his dream predicted the future.
It's like his subconscious was picking up on some kind of premonition,
Right.
something his conscious mind couldn't have known.
It makes you wonder what else our subconscious minds are capable of.
It really underscores how the subconscious can process information
Mm-hmm.
on a level that our conscious minds just can't grasp.
Wow.
So what can we do with this knowledge?
Oh, yeah. What can we do?
The book suggests we should pay more attention to our dreams,
Okay.
journal them,
Uh-huh.
reflect on them,
Yeah.
and look for recurring themes or symbols that might hold hidden messages.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to start taking my dreams more seriously.
Me too.
It's fascinating to think that we all have this incredible resource within us, this wellspring of wisdom and guidance,
Yeah,
and we can access it through our subconscious minds.
it's pretty amazing.
This deep dive into the subconscious has been a real eye-opener.
It really has.
It's empowering to know that we have more control over our reality than we might think,
Absolutely.
and that by tapping into the power of our subconscious, we can create a life filled with joy, abundance,
And fulfillment.
and fulfillment.
It's a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is to trust in the wisdom within you and watch as your dreams begin to unfold.
For more such content, go to our channel. Pages and Perspectives. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and press the bell icon to get the latest updates. Thank you for joining us.